Two teenage boys, Hikaru and Yoshiki, are walking by a convenience store looking for some ice cream. They enter one that promotes a load of ice cream but barely finds any. They start talking about how Hikaru's horrible pronunciation and the time that he went missing on the mountains. Yoshiki then asks a burning question he had on his mind. "You ain't the real Hikaru, are you?" Hikaru looks puzzled by that question, but his secret is revealed when his face starts to melt. Yoshiki thinks this is the end until it hugs him, asking not to tell anyone and that he enjoys his time being a human. He doesn't want to kill him. At any rate, Hikaru's not around anymore. If that's how it is, then I want you to be by my side, even if you are fake. Now, I've heard a lot of buzz about this series. The first chapter really captured my attention with just a hug, and I was very surprised that not a lot of you guys have heard about it. So today, I want to show you guys what you're missing out on by reading to you this extraordinary slice of life horror series, The Summer Hikaru Died.
But if you guys want to see more anime content like this one, then why not go down and hit that subscribe button.
And without further ado, let's get on with the video. Yoshiki, now knowing the truth, is torn down knowing that Hikaru is dead, even if he's waiting outside his house to go to school every day. Whatever you are, having it by my side is way better than not having you at all. As they walk by small houses, an old woman screams at them to stay back. Ignoring her, they continue their path. We learn that whatever took over Hikaru retains all of his memories, but hasn't experienced his life. The thing wasn't responsible for Hikaru's death. It just took over his body when Hikaru wandered into the woods. Later, the old woman receives a delivery in the middle of the night. She refuses to let them in, but it's too late. They're already inside. The next day, Yoshiki's classmates discuss a scary forest path that a student must take to get home. With some begging, a group agrees to accompany him. After school, they find nothing unusual about the path. On their way back, they discuss the old woman's strange death. She was found with her entire hand stuffed down her throat. Yoshiki sees her head swinging in the distance. Hikaru suddenly says that it's coming for him, but then he claims it was just a nosebleed. In the next chapter, Hikaru, hit by a ball, is in the school's nurse's office. He tells Yoshiki that he put the swinging head inside of him and asks if he wants to see. He reveals a massive slit in his chest. When Yoshiki reaches inside, words nor images can even describe the feeling. While grocery shopping, a woman warns Yoshiki of danger near him and that they should exchange numbers. At Hikaru's house, Yoshiki's guilt overwhelms him. He texts the woman and meets her at a diner, explaining everything. She advises avoiding Hikaru and that the village is in danger, starting with the mountains where Hikaru died. At school, Yoshiki finally reaches his limit. Hikaru tries to cheer him up, but Yoshiki rejects the imposter. Hikaru grabs him, apologizing. Yoshiki is his first friend, and he can't stop his feelings. You must know it too, that you can't keep being with your friend like this. Now, like I said in the beginning, I never expected this series to go in the direction that it did. A slice of life horror series is not something that I thought would work, but with an original concept and compelling main characters, it's becoming one of my favorite horror series in the last year. The relationship between Hikaru and Yoshiki is very interesting to read, especially around this time since he knows that something has taken over his best friend and potential partner. The mental toll that this situation has put on him is visualized beautifully by these abstract drawings, and you can kinda understand why he's still going through with this friendship. The slice of life genre is more like an entree, while the horror aspect is more of an appetizer. However, it's still filled with creepy imagery and mystery to keep us at the edge of our seats. The mystery of the series and the fear of the unknown is the scariest aspect so far, but I have a strange feeling that from now on, the drawings and situations are just going to be amplified. Volume 2 opens up with Yoshiki being consumed by black and white goop until he snaps back to reality. Hikaru, upset for going overboard, leaves. The next day, Yoshiki, conflicted about the parasite inhabiting his friend's body, decides to apologize to him. Hikaru, relieved, just doesn't want Yoshiki to hate him. Ignoring the woman's advice, Yoshiki resolves to teaching the new Hikaru how to be human. Their lessons go well until problems arise between Yoshiki's mother and sister over the summer festival. Yoshiki, Hikaru, and Yoshiki's sister, Karu, enjoy their time at the festival, while people gossip about their family in the background. Over shaved ice, Hikaru asks what gave him away as an imposter. Yoshiki then drops a bombshell at us by revealing that he was the first to find Hikaru's dead body. In a flashback, Yoshiki finds Hikaru's lifeless body in the middle of the woods, apparently killed by a fall. As he inspects the body, he gets consumed by black and white goop. After being bedridden for days, he wakes to find Hikaru back. The scene shifts to three men discussing a ritual meant to trap an ancient entity, with things getting out of hand in the village. Feeling hopeless, they decide to contact someone under the name Tanaka. The narrative flashes back to Hikaru's death, where he, distracted by a sexy tree, slipped on a rock and begged someone to take his place by Yoshiki's side. Back at school, Yoshiki wants to explore Hikaru's chest slit again. When he does, the goop gives him a pleasurable sensation, but he ultimately rejects it and scolds Hikaru. Later, Yoshiki notices the mark on his hand has gotten darker, recalling the woman's warning. That night, Kaoru sees long hair emerging from the shower, which retracts when she approaches, causing her to have the most realistic reaction and running away in terror before it attacks the glass door. The next day, Hikaru investigates the shower, explaining that the hair is an impurity. He fights it off but ends up drowning in the bathtub. Yoshiki tries to save him but gets sucked into another dimension, confronted by giant brains asking personal and degrading questions. Memories of an old argument starts playing out, when in reality, Yoshiki is fighting with Hikaru. While this volume had bits of filler thrown around to get to know the characters, this was still jam-packed with plot twists, crazy lore, and more hand stuff. Wait, huh? So, to address the elephant in the room, this series isn't considered boy love. However, the implications are all over the series. It might be because people would get turned off by it if they knew it going into it was BL. But even if it is BL or not, I think that the story and the relationship between the characters will work no matter what. The relationship between the two main characters are becoming way more engaging, especially with the new approach that Yoshiki is going with. It'll definitely bite him in the butt in the future. However, right now, I'm more interested in seeing the character progression of the imposter Hikaru and how it's going to be affecting Yoshiki. This volume was so great to read when it came to piecing together the mystery. We finally learned what to call these things, we learned more about the goop, and how it could be just his emotions in physical form. But the biggest thing to come out of the volume was the ending to chapter 9, where the three men are talking about Hikaru's father, the old woman in volume 1, and then acknowledging the weird things happening in the village. It was a huge piece of the puzzle that we needed, and it only made me want to continue reading it. Volume 3 begins with Tanaka listening to music with his pet hamster. Finding a lost bag in the mountains, he meets with the three men to discuss his discovery. Meanwhile, Asako, a classmate of Hikaru and Yoshiki's, gossips with another student, but she warns her about going a certain direction. Asako has always been right about her instincts, as we see that she can hear voices. In the ongoing fight between Hikaru and Yoshiki in the bathtub, Yoshiki bites Hikaru's arm, expelling the impurity. Later that night, the impurity pops out at the train tracks and gets taken out by Rie Kurobashi, the woman that warned Yoshiki. She's a mixed, being that she can touch the boundaries between the other side and their own world. An emergency meeting reveals Hikaru's failed ritual is causing the strange events in the village. Tanaka finds a black stone shaped like a human head in a bag belonging to Hikaru's father, which protects against impurities. The mountain is now safe, but Tanaka sets up a barrier before the summer festival, which was damaged by Hikaru during the festival. So now they just have to smoke the impurity out. Tanaka takes a walk to a shrine where it's revealed that he has to sacrifice an organ to set up a barrier. At a small shrine, he destroys it, setting up a trap to find the Yonuki-sama, or what we presume is Hikaru. That night, Hikaru hosts a sleepover with Yoshiki and other friends from school. When Yoshiki goes to Hikaru's room to find a game, he recalls memories of Hikaru's father, who went missing in the same mountain that his son did. He picks a game, but a piece of paper falls on the ground. When he opens it up, he can't quite read the message, but it has something to do with the ritual and the role of the Indos. As they play with fireworks, Asako and Hikaru go out to get more lighters. Asako, sensing something off, confronts Hikaru, asking who he really is. We flash back to Asako's childhood, where her grandmother explained her ability to hear spirits. Her family can see or hear spirits from the other side, and Asako hears spirits warning her from danger. Back in the present, Asako confronts Hikaru, who freaks out and tries to consume her. Yoshiki intervenes, and Asako faints. Hikaru explains that he wanted to know how she knew, but doing so would kill her. Yoshiki, horrified, asks how Hikaru could kill someone. Hikaru, not understanding life and death, says that he won't kill Yoshiki because he's special, but others like the old woman are exceptions. Yoshiki vomits, realizing that Hikaru killed the old woman. Asako wakes up, remembering only that Hikaru was possessed. Asako explains that she felt something off about Hikaru since he returned, like his voice sounded weird. She wanted to communicate with the ghost possessing him. Hikaru and Asako walk back home, while Yoshiki, in shock, heads to his house. The next day, Yoshiki waits for Hikaru, and they decide to skip school, watch a movie, and get some ice cream. At Yoshiki's house, while Hikaru reads manga, Yoshiki suddenly stabs him in the stomach. Knowing Hikaru isn't gonna die, Yoshiki breaks down, apologizing and accepting death. Hikaru, unsure what to do, reaches into his chest slit, pulling out some of his insides to avoid harming anyone. Yoshiki, still confused, accepts Hikaru's offering. He decides not to give up on Hikaru and vows to help him. But they first need to understand what exactly Hikaru is. So to keep it short, I'm glad that they're giving more development to other side characters. The other volumes showed interactions with them, but it wasn't really important when it came to telling the main story. It's more to just get to know them better. I never expected Rie or Asako to be important characters, but not only are they getting more panel time, but they're expanding the world building of the series. We assumed that it was just aliens or just something out of this world, but the impurities could just be spirits from the other side. It's confusing because sometimes it just seems like impurities and spirits are two different entities, but I believe that we'll be getting answers soon enough. Volume 4 begins with Yoshiki and Hikaru trying to decipher the note Yoshiki found. Hikaru doesn't remember writing it, but refers to himself as the Great Brain Snatcher. Hikaru's grandpa mentions someone named Hichi-san, who Hikaru had to take to the mountains, but he falls asleep before explaining more. An online forum leads them to the village's library to research its history. They discover that the places' names on the map, when connected, form the shape of a human body. At the library, they meet the daughter of the old woman from Volume 1. She tells them about a plague during the Canon era, and mentions that her mother often spoke of the Great Brain Snatcher, a figure that she claimed to have seen in the woods as a child. The librarian suggests to speak to her grandfather, Takeda, for more information. That night, Yoshiki encounters Tanaka, whose hamster reacts aggressively to him. Tanaka questions Yoshiki, suspecting he might be the Great Brain Snatcher, but they quickly become friends when Tanaka notices a mark on Yoshiki's arm. As impurities infect more of the village, Hikaru and Yoshiki piece together the situation. They are attacked by an impurity in a diner, and a weakened Hikaru struggles to fight it off. Rie arrives just in time to save them and take them home. She explains more about the spirits, the other side, and her dead husband who returned to life. They realize Hikaru's presence is increasing the village's danger and decides to team up to protect it. The impurity attacking Hikaru was sent by Tanaka, who absorbs its memories. Later, Yoshiki, fresh out of the shower, is visited by a shadowy Hikaru, who quickly leaves. At school, they recap what they learned. The Great Brain Snatcher, or Hikaru, is a god who grants wishes in exchange for something. However, a plague turned the god malevolent, trapping it in the mountains. The Indos' family men, or Hikaru's ancestors, used Hichi-san in rituals to seal the Brain Snatcher. Hikaru's failure to complete the ritual allowed the god to possess him, attracting impurities from the mountain to the village. They visit Takeda to learn more about the rituals. Takeda asks them to bring Rie, revealing that he is the next target. He explains that the chaos is due to a taboo committed by the Indu family. To understand the family's actions, they must visit the family shrine. Suddenly, They know that Takeda is possessed and transforms into a long-haired impurity. It attacks them, but Tanaka arrives just in time to save them. Before dealing with the impurity, he decides to check on something first. The volume ends with Tanaka slashing Hikaru's head off. This whole volume was focused on answering most of the questions that the viewers had, and basically just lore dumped everything onto us, but in an exciting effort. While the horror aspect was barely shown, the mystery and the creepiness was at its full effect during this entire volume. Now, the next couple of chapters will be a part of volume 5, however the series is still ongoing, so it's only 4 chapters long, with the 5th chapter releasing on July 1st. It continues with a dramatic twist as Hikaru's decapitated body and severed head gush out black and white goop, while Tanaka laughs maniacally in the background. Yoshiki manages to patch Hikaru's body together, but faints from the effort. He wakes up in the hospital, where his mother believes he was attacked by Takeda. Next to him is an unconscious Hikaru, with Tanaka recovering in another room. One of the men from the meetings visits him, who informs him that he will be away for a while, but will return to deal with the Great Brain Snatcher. Yoshiki recounts the events to Rai, who suspects Tanaka might work for a certain company. She explains the mountain's haunted nature, where body parts were found without their skulls. Yoshiki recalls seeing a boy with a severed head at the end of volume 1, realizing that all the impurities that they have encountered were distorted from the neck up. The boy was offering the head to the Great Brain Snatcher, but what could he have wished for? Hikaru wakes up feeling strange because he gave a piece of himself to Yoshiki. Back at school, everyone is relieved to see that Hikaru is safe. Yoshiki starts documenting what he knows about the Great Brain Snatcher. A classmate mentions a folklore about mercury being used as an abortion pill in the Edo period, leading people to worship it as a god in the mountains. This revelation makes Yoshiki question the beliefs and religions of the area. Yoshiki and Hikaru decide to visit the Indo temple for answers. As they leave the school, Hikaru becomes unhinged and tries to attack Yoshiki. Just as he's about to consume Yoshiki, Yoshiki reaches out using the connection inside him. Asako witnesses the entire scene and runs away. That night, they enter the temple and see walls adored with wooden heads, triggering Hikaru's memory of visiting this with his father. Hikaru's father had explained that each head represents a person offered to the Brain Snatcher. The heads vanish instantly, so the Indos carve wooden replicas as memorials. While some offered themselves willingly, many were innocent victims. The true cause of the curse remains unknown, but they suspect Yoshiki's father might hold the key. Hikaru, alone at school, wonders if discovering his true nature could stop the impurities. Asako confronts him, admitting that she saw the incident on the stairs. She promises not to tell anyone but starts to cry, knowing that the real Hikaru is dead. Hikaru feels guilty, realizing his presence prevents people from mourning the real Hikaru. Yoshiki asks his dad about Hikaru's father, who was his childhood best friend. Meanwhile, Hikaru visits Rai for comfort. Yoshiki's father explains that the head of the family once wished for his plague-sickened wife to return to life, offering the god all of the heads it desired. As a result, a third of the village died under mysterious circumstances, but the Indos remained unaffected. The wife would later die painfully, and the killings would cease. The Indos kept the wife's head, Hichi-san, for rituals. Hikaru's father attempted to end the rituals and fight the higher-ups, but he died in an accident soon after. Hikaru, at Rie's house, discusses his dangerous bond with Yoshiki and expresses his desire to go back to the mountains to return everything back to normal. Meanwhile, Yoshiki discovers an art book in his father's room, finding a sketch resembling Hikaru's goop form, labeled A Sketch of Gehenna. Back at Rie's house, Hikaru breaks down in tears, feeling vulnerable. Rie sees this as the perfect opportunity to eliminate the Brain Snatcher for Yoshiki and the village's sake. Even though the series is still ongoing, it feels like the ending of the series is close by. The series had answered most of the questions we wanted from the beginning, like the sins of the Indos and the rituals. It does get confusing with the history of the religions and the different mountains, but nothing that lessens the series. There are a couple things missing, like Tanaka's company and the sketch of the Gehenna, but it's all things that could be answered in just a couple of chapters. Both the mystery and the scary imagery remind me of the series PTSD Radio, which, if you want to know more, you could just watch my video on it. But the scary imagery is rare, and the suspense and mystery are more of a focus, especially in the latest chapters. The Summer Hikaru Died amazingly blends the slice of life genre with horror elements, creating an emotional story with creepy imagery and a compelling mystery all in one. The relationship between Yoshiki and the impurity that has taken over Hikaru's body drives the story forward, providing a unique lens through which we experience the mysteries and the dangers of their small village. The series' progression from its initial intrigue to the deeper explorations of sinister rituals of the Indo family keeps readers on the edge and invested in the unfolding drama. Whether it is classified as boy love or not, the relationship at the heart of the story transcends genres, offering a profound exploration of friendship, loss, and identity. As we near what feels like the series' climax, the unresolved threads and evolving character dynamics promise an interesting and intense conclusion. The series' unique approach to horror, with its focus on the suspense and psychological tension rather than on constant scares, sets it apart in the genre. For those who relish a blend of horror, mystery, and heartfelt storytelling, The Summer Hikaru Died is a must-read that leaves a lasting impression long after the final page. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I want to know your guys' thoughts on The Summer Hikaru Died, so leave them all in the comments below. And if you guys like more horror, manga, and anime content, then why not go down and hit that subscribe button. But I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.